Now, you're saying the 5-minute estimation that you made was an estimation from the time at which the two intruders got into the house up until the point at which you went out of the door, not so?
The 5 minutes okhulume ngayo ke uthi ubuqagela nje ukuthi kusukela ngesikhathi laba bawu2 bengena kwaze kwayisikhathi la wena ke usuphuma endlini.
Yeah, I said less than 5 minutes.
Yes, I said less than 5 minutes.
And at that point, actually before you went out of the house, it was at a time at which you met Senzo, who was going a direction that was an opposite one to the one at which you were going. In other words, he was going into the greater portion of the house when you were walking out of the house.
Ila uhlangana khona noSenzo yena esengenela ngaphakathi endlini wena uphumela ngaphandle.
Yebo.
Yes.
Will I then be correct to say that at that point in time, the tussle or the squeamishness that you testified so deeply about it was no longer there?
Leso scaffold leso ke bese singasekho ke manje ngathi kwenzeka lokho.
Yebo.
Yes.
And you don't know whether after you had left the house they regrouped and the squeamishness started again?
Awazi ke noma umusuphumile ke wena endlini baphinde bahlangana futhi kwaphinda ke kwanescaffold futhi awukwazi ngoba ubuphumile endlini ngithi.
Cha ngikwazi uba ngisengaphandle.
No, I don't know because I was outside.
Thank you, sir. You went to the Ngashes. We are told that the family that you went into is the Ngashes, and that's not in dispute. Excuse me?
Ngache.
Yes, the Ngashes.
Ngache. NGC Ngache.
I was to pronounce that. So I hear what you are saying.
I hear what you're saying.
Thank you, sir. You went into the yard and then you came back.
Yes.
Yebo kunjalo.
Now, when you came back, am I right to have understood you that when you came back, you found Senzo at a particular point in the house?
Uma usubuya ke ila uthi khona ke kunendawo thizeni endlini ke manje la owamthola uSenzo leli khona.
Yebo.
Yes.
And as you were busy trying to find out what is happening with him, you heard some bang from one of the doors. You went to the door and then it was Mr. Madlala. You assisted him to get out of that room and then you went back to Senzo.
Wezwa ke ukuthi kunomsindo khona kwesigaba esithize waya ke wathola ukuthi uTumelo wamsiza ke nabuyela kuSenzo.
Yebo.
Yes.
Now, in relation to the house, and I'm going to request that probably the dining room situation of the house as a whole, or the sketch plan of the house be flighted. Now, excuse me, sir. Sketch plan. Let's go to the sketch plan. Now, there is something that I'm going to request you to clarify this court on in relation to the aspect that I've asked you about. Now, I assume that when you came back from the Ngashes, you used the very same door that you used to go out of the door, which is the main kitchen door, not so?
Ngicabanga ukuthi uma usubuyeka ubuya kwaNgache usebenzise sona ke isigaba lesi owuphume ngaso ukuthi uphinde ubuyele phakathi endlini.
Yebo ngasebenzisa sona.
That's correct. I used the same door.
Then you are into the house exactly when you came back. Who was the first person that you saw when you get into the house?
Uma usubuya ke umuntu oqala owahlangana naye ke uma usubuya manje ubuya kwaNgache ubani umuntu oqala owahlangana naye lapha endlini?
Umakeli.
Kelly's mother.
Where did you meet her?
Kuphi nendawo?
Ngaphandle ngasemnyango lo kitchen.
Outside close to the kitchen door.
Okay, thanks. She's outside the house. Let's get into the house. Who's then the person that you're meeting in the house?
Loyo ke uhlangana naye ngaphandle. Ngaphakathi ke endlini ubani umuntu oqala owahlangana naye?
Angisakhumbuli kodwa ngikhumbulayo ukuthi ngabona isenzo ngoba ngiyasho ukuthi ngangena ekitchen ngadlula ngathi mangijikela ngase ngaka left shoot mangibuka ngaka right sorry mangibuka isithombe kanje ila ngahlangana khona noSenzo ke phansi.
I can't remember, but I know that I met Senzo. I went through the kitchen and then I turned right, and then as I turned right, when I looked on my right hand side, that's where I saw Senzo lying down.
Thank you, sir. Now, exactly when you turned to your right, where did you see him? Or where was he?
Ayikuphi ndawo?
Ukuthi le dining room ke la angazi noma be sketch up plan from ayikho lokho kuseduze la.
Ukuphi?
Ama couch lawa. Akukho isikhala esikanje.
Okay. Asondelene wona.
I couch nodonga lisondelene so ukuthi la libukeka ngathi kunodonga liswele kusithile ngazi umyayiswa lento engisho. When
you look on the picture itself, the couches or the couch and the wall are close to each other, but now based on the sketch it is drawn differently. It looks like there's a huge gap.
Oh, okay, now let's simplify it. I'm going to request a colleague to beam us the sitting room situation. I think you're right, that color was also blindfolding me. Let's get to the sitting room. I don't know what photos are these, but yeah. Let's see the other one. The other one.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
This one. Yes. I think that is photo number 56. 57, yes. Down photo number 57. You turn from the kitchen arc and you're looking right into the sitting room where you were initially seated. Then where do you see Senzo?
Position. Please pick the picture up because that's it. La. Sukela la ukuza ngala.
Here,
Yeah.
from there,
So inyawo ngala ukuza umuntu emuteza ngala.
Yes.
it's the feet that is now on the mat itself, and then the whole body coming towards this side. That is now the bottom part of the picture.
Yes. And then you said immediately you went to him, and then you had this other body from one of the sleeping rooms. You went there to assess him, but then you went back to Senzo, who was still sleeping there.
Ubuya kuTumela waphindela khona ke kusenzo owayesaleli khona lapho.
Yebo ayiphansi.
Yes, he was on the floor.
That is at a point where you then lifted his white shirt and realized that he has got a wound on his sternum.
Wase uphakamisa ke iskipa ila ubona khona ke ukuthi unenxeba.
Yebo kunoma sakho ukuthi ngaliphakamisa kuqala before ngokutumela noma but ngaliphakamisa ngabona inxeba lala likhona.
Yes, what I just can't remember well is whether I did that before I went to Tumela or after I came back from Tumela, but I remember seeing the wound, yes.
Yes. Now, I assume, or will I be correct to assume that when you came back, you were now in the company of Tumelo?
Ubuya ke manje uhamba noTumelo.
Bese kubuya ukuvulela.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
After you had opened
Yes.
the room
Yeah.
where he was.
Yes.
And then immediately thereafter, what then happened? Did other people get into their house or what happened?
Emuva kwalokho ke ngabe kwangena abanye abantu endlini noma kwenzekani?
Yebo bekhona abantu abesendlini njengoba ngishilo ukuthi ngiyakhumbula ukuthi kakhona nomakhelwane khona owazi wathi fonela namaphoyisa omunye noma kakusa uyena lo wathi ngoba usaphila mphuthumisene esibhedlela. That's when vele sasesimqubula nathi ke in assistance labafana baka next ufana ka next door no Tumelo nabanye abafana babesebekhona kakusegcwele nje kodwa.
Yes, there were people, because as I said that even the neighbors were there. I remember the other one saying because he's still alive, called the police. That's when he then picked him up as well as other young men, even the one from the neighbors.
Now, at the time when, now you're saying at the time at which you picked him from that very same spot that you have shown there, already the Ngache's, the boy from Ngache's family was there, and he also assisted you to pick him up from that very same spot.
Uthi ke kulokho ke nalo wakwanqatheke wayesekhona naye wakusiza ukumphakamisa khona lapho.
Yebo.
Yes.
And you then took him straight to the Moravia Highkill, which is now the access.
Namhamse emotweni.
Yebo.
Yes.
Okay. You know the reason why I'm asking you this, because this court has heard from Mr. Ngache, that's now young Ngache, that when he got into the house, can you please go back to the sketch plan? When he got into the house, he found Senzo lying at that opening that leads to the I think it's an opening of the kitchen that leads into the main what do they call it now? It's a corridor. No, wait.
Yeah.
Yes, he found him lying there, and he was just alone there. There was nobody that was assisting him.
Imbangela ukuthi ngikubuzeke lo mbuzo ungoba lo wakwanqatheke ukhaya uthi uma ibuya yena ke wambona khona lapha yala ubukhombe khona kungenamuntu omsizayo.
Cela ukuba nisho uthi wambona la kule ark le.
Did he say he saw him where the witness is pointing?
Passage. That's where.
That is exactly where he saw him, but more into the passage.
Uthi kakhulukazi epassage ni kuthi la ambona khona kungenamuntu eyedwa kungenamuntu omlekelelayo noma omsizayo.
Ngiyacabanga ukuthi umfana waka Nqashi wangena after mina. So mina ngafikela kuyena uSenzo. The only time engasuka eduze kwaSenzo was when ngiyovulela uTumelo. Ngase ngibuyela kuyena uSenzo.
Yes.
I think the Ngache gentleman, a guy, came into the house, or he came into the house after me.
Yes.
And I found Senzo there. The only time I left Senzo was when I went to Tumelo to open for Tumelo, and then I came back to Senzo.
So angazi ke noma yena ungene ngalesikhathi ngisayovulela uTumelo ngibuya noma kodwa egcineni uSenzo wayinami phansi ngoba ithawula engangisebenzisa yimina ngimpress ngalelo thawula.
So I don't know whether he came in at the time when I had gone to assist Tumelo, but eventually I came back to Senzo, and the towel, I'm the one who was assisting Senzo using that towel.
Yes, Mr. Tola, that's not in dispute. By the point here being, you are saying when you came back from the Ngaches, when you got into the house, you found Senzo sleeping at the point at which you pointed this coordinate. So.
Kodwa ke okushoyo asiphikisi lokho qedwe kusho kodwa okushoyo ukuthi wena wamthola elelikile yandawo wena oyikhombile angithi.
Yebo.
Yes.
And you further saying that there were other people in the house ultimately who assisted with the lifting of Senzo or to carry him into the Moravia Highkill that was standing outside, amongst others. Who assisted you to do so was the Ngache boy.
Uphinde uqhubekeke uthi wasizwa noma walekelwa abantu uqhubula uSenzo nemsemotweni. Phakathi kwalabo bantu ke kwakukhona ukhaya Ngache.
Yebo ngikushilo lokho.
Yes, I said
ngisasho futhi namanje. Yimina engifike eqala kunomfana wakaNqashi. Ngasiza uTumelo. Ngase ngibuyela kuSenzo. Abantu bese befika nje bengisho ukuthi kwase kuyogcwala abantu. Angishongo ukuthi ngifike ngafica abantu abaningi or ngafica umfana wakaNqashi. Umfana wakaNqashi ufike emva kwami. Wase yangisiza equbuleni uSenzo. Kwase kufika nje bengisho ukuthi kwase kukhona nabantu ababefika nomakhelwane kwayibona abashoyo. So I was
not that he got there before me. I got there before him. I then went to assist Tumelo. I came back. And then that's when the people came, as I said. Not that he got there before me.
I'm not suggesting that he could have arrived before you. That's the sequence that I'm trying to give you. that you arrived there after you had entered the house. You turned into your right, you realized that Senzo was sleeping at the point where you have pointed to this court. Then from there, you heard somebody knocking in one of the doors there. You went to assist him. You realized that it was Mr. Madlala, and then you went back to Senzo. He was still sleeping at that very same point. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now you are saying that there came a point where you then decide, there was a suggestion that Senzo should be taken to hospital because he was still alive, and others suggested that police should also be called, which is the right thing. When all that was happening, Senzo was still lying there, not so?
Khona konke lokho kukhulunywa ngepolice station, kukhulunywa amaphoyisa, kukhulunywa ngokuthi asiwe esibhedlela usaphila, kwenzeka lokho uSenzo usalele kuleya ndawo.
Yebo.
Yes.
Now people say, let us then take him out to the motor vehicle. And amongst those people who assisted you to take him from the point where he was lying is Mr. Ngache's son.
Kulabo bantu abakusiza ke noma babelekelela ke ukuthi kuqhutshula uSenzo kuleya ndawo elele kuyona ke asiwe emotweni ukhaya Ngache.
Not so?
Yebo.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Ngache's son says indeed he assisted in carrying Senzo into the motor vehicle. But when he got into the house, he himself, he found Senzo lying just near that ark that gets into the kitchen, not at the place where you have pointed out to this court. And when you got there, Senzo was lying there alone, unattended to.
Ukona ke lokho ke uNgache ke vele walekelela ukubusa uSenzo emotweni kodwa ke akushoyo ukuthi uma ngabe yena efika ke uSenzo wayengaleli kule ndawo wena ke ikhombile kodwa eleli khona lapha yana ke kule ndawo beshiyo yena ngaphambilini kungenamuntu omlekelelayo.
Without being disrespectful kulabantu omnini womuzi ngaleli la ngisho khona ndibe ngikubuzile nami kwasekuqaleni wathi by the ark ngakwi passage ngoba ngifuna ukucacisa lokho ukuthi njoba ngishilo nami ukuthi inyawo zaSenzo zazi lapha ngakumata kodwa ubude bakhe bude buzofika ngase passage.
Without being disrespectful to the people of the house or the people there, I did explain as to how Senzo was laying, that his feet were on the mat, but his head or the entire body was stretching up to the passage.
Engizama ukusho ukuthi lo muzi akuwona umuzi omkhulu ungathi mhlawumbe umuzi wangalelo hall, umuzi omncane lo uSenzo mude ucisha abe height yakho.
What I'm then saying is that that's not a big house, that's a small house, and Senzo is tall, is almost your height.
Yeah, I'm 2.2 meters tall. So he could be plus minus 2 meters, you know.
Yeah,
when you say almost.
Keep.
Yes. No, in other words, what I'm trying to say to you is that what you are saying is not exactly what Mr. Ngache's son is saying, because I understood you to mean that Senzo was lying near the sofas. Mr. Ngache said he was just at the kitchen ark that gets into the passage.
Wena ukuthi beseduze ngamasofa yena ebethi nje beseduze neark yase kitchen.
Yet again bengizoba nenkinga mhlawumbe kube bengithe mina uSenzo belele kitchen bengizobona ukuthi hayi cha lapho angeke uze kwazi.
Yes.
So I passage ne dining it's almost the same place. Cisho bendaba yodwa even though ngingekho exact ukuthi ikuphi, but it's almost the same place ngoba lo muzi muncane kakhulu. Mhlawumbe bengithe uSenzo ufika uvelele kitchen mangena, that's ke mhlawumbe ngakudispute lokho, but lokho okushoyo ukuthi passage no dining room kumina ngibona ku almost the same thing ngoba in la cishe ngimthole khona naye usho the very same place ukuthi nje ku different ngesibale esincane.
We are saying exactly the same thing, myself and Kaya. If that is what you are disputing, it would have been an issue if I had said he was in the kitchen. The kitchen, the dining room, and the passage and the dining room is almost the same place.
Let's go further. He further says that at the time when he got into the house, at that same spot where he said, not your spot, where he said he found Senzo. Senzo was lying alone there. Nobody was attending to him. And you are saying you had been with Senzo there at a point where you had pointed out to this court. Now-
aphinde futhi ke athi wena uthi wawumsiza yena uthi kwakungenamuntu owayemsiza.
Yabona ke lapho futhi ngibuyela lento engiyishilo ukuthi what if ungene ngesikhathi ngisayovulela uDumela, obviously usenze ube yedwa ngaleso sikhathi, then ngase ngabuya mina ngaya kuyena ngeke ngize ngingene endlini ngimbone usenze limele bese ngenzani futhi ngihamba ngayohlala etoilet mhlawumbe understand ngoba nami lokho engikushoyo ngangizomiyekelana umngani nami ngimbone limele la.
It goes back to what I said that maybe when he came in, it's when I had gone to assist Tumelo. Because there was no way I was going to go into the house, leave my friend as I see that he is hurt, and maybe do what? Go and sit in the toilet.
Thank you for that explanation, Mr. Madlala. But I'm putting it to you that...
Twala. Mr. Twala.
Excuse me?
Mr.
Not
Twala.
Madlala, you said Madlala.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, my apologies, Mr.
No
Twala.
problem.
I'm putting it to you, Mr. Twala, that as the questions are coming, you are trying to tailor your version that is contradictory to what Mr. Ngache has said to suit the narrative that you are trying to give to this court.
Is there any basis for making this breathtaking statement to the witness? We submit that there isn't the basis.
There's no
for saying so.
basis. Just for my edification, is it material whether Senzo was lying in the dining room right next to the TV, or he was lying towards the passage and the ark? Does it make any difference? Because the fact of the matter is, the witnesses all say he was shot. Now, even if he was in the bedroom, does it make any difference to the case we are handling here? He was geskiet, he was shot. All of us listening to the evidence, we all heard that he was shot inside the house, in the kitchen, and I'm saying, like the witness is saying, it's a small house. When you are in the passage and the dining room, the other day I said, the way I see it, when you put your leg apart from the kitchen, you are in the passage. Thereafter, dining room.
Thank you.
Thereafter, the ark. If it's material, fine, you can pursue that aim.
I'm not so sure whether the court has already made a prima facie view that these contradictions are not material.
No, that's why I said if it is material,
yes,
you can continue on that line.
Which is the...
Hello?
I'm sorry, my lord.
You can continue on the same line if it is material for your defense, fine.
Which is the reason why, my lord, I'm putting it to him.
Yeah.
So I'm not so sure what is then the basis of an objection, in the sense that what are the basis of that statement, because I've demonstrated that what Mr. Ngache said and what this witness is saying
it's different.
Exactly not the same thing.
Yes,
whether that is material or not is for the court to decide.
Yeah, fine.
Yes.
I hear you. Mr.
The substance of the objection was that he's putting to the witness that he's tailoring his evidence.
Oh, tailoring the evidence.
Yes, that's.
Oh, so you say he must explain why he's making that assertion?
Yes, indeed,
that this witness is tailoring his version.
Indeed.
Okay. Mr. Mnisi.
My lord, the witness says initially that Senzo is lying next to the sofas there, next to the couches. But as the questions are coming up, then he starts by saying, and then he comes up with a version that says, no, Senzo was tall. Part of Senzo's body was lying on the couches. Part of Senzo's body was lying near the ark. When initially, in his evidence in chief, that was never said. That was never put to this court, and I can also assume that this court is sharing that version for the first time. Not so. That is the basis why I'm saying that as the case progresses or as cross-examination goes
Okay,
on,
go on,
this witness is tailoring his evidence to suit the particular narrative that he has come to deliver to this
Okay.
court. My lord.
Oh.
Thank you, my lords.
Yes, let's continue.
I said to you, Mr. Twala, basically I would have had 2 questions. Let me go back to my 2 questions, or 1 or 2 questions.
As you please.
Yes. You would recall that in the course of the investigation of this case, you were requested to come and assist with a compilation of an identity kit, which would have assisted the investigators to look around to identify who the possible intruders were in this matter, not so?
Ushilo ke ukuthi kune ID kit owaya kuyona ke ukusiza amaphoyisa ukuthi atholeke ukuthi ubanike noma kwangaba ubanike abambandakanyekayo kulolu cala.
Yebo.
Yes.
Now, you would recall, if I'm mistaken, this information that we got from the state, that in that course, you had a consultation with a police officer known as Warrant Officer A.Y. Steenkamp. I think it's a lady. Do you call that?
Kunomama ke Steenkamp owakhulumisana naye ke noma waba ne-interview nayo Steenkamp.
Yebo.
Yes.
Mama, yes.
It's a lady, yes.
I'm not so sure whether you recall the date, but in the documents that were submitted to us by the state, it is indicated that you had a consultation with her on the 29th of December 2014.
The 29th of December 2014.
Is that so?
Yes, that's
Yes.
true.
Thank you. Now, very briefly, I just want to put it to you. You said that throughout your evidence, and that's not in dispute, and in a number of statements, or in 1 or 2 of the statements that you also gave to the police, you testified that you were not in a position to identify the type of a firearm that the first intruder had in his possession, not so?
Ushilo ke kufakazi bakho bonke ke ukuthi ke isibhamu lesi awayesiphethe lona woqala ngeke ukwazi ukusichaza.
Yebo.
Yes.
However, and please understand me, Ms. Steenkamp wrote in her report that at the time at which she had this consultation with you, you made mention of the fact that the first intruder, who you described as a person having some dreadlocks, had a firearm which was an old revolver.
Kodwa ke babhalile yena uSteenkamp uthi wena wachazanga na njenge revolver endala.
Do you understand?
Yes.
That's what I'm putting to you. Is that what you told her?
Lokho wamtshela bona.
Angikhumbuli ngikusho lokho kodwa end of the day ngakhuluma nesikhathi ngigcina la ngaze ngangidide ukuthi kwa revolver yini revolver. Yena vele wayelisebenzisa lelo gama le revolver but mina personally ngangayazi revolver angiyazi revolver mina.
I remember saying that. I also remember that on the last time that I was here, when it was mentioned that I mentioned that I don't even know what a revolver is. Yes, she made mention of that name, but I personally don't know what kind of a firearm a revolver is.
She made mention of the word revolver. In what context did she mention it?
Uma uthi wayelisho yena lelo gama wayelisho uma kwenze njani noma kwakungani alisho.
I think umuntu mawumchazela mawuthi uyakubuza nje efuna ukwazi information kumina uzosebenzisa vele obviously ama type A bhamu afisa angibuza ukuthi mhlambe was it a revolver, was it AK or whatever uzosebenzisa lawo magama lawo awasebenzisayo.
When it is that she is asking me questions and she wants to understand, yes indeed she is going to make mention of the words in trying to establish from me which kind of a firearm it was, a revolver, an AK. So she is going to make mention of the names.
Because mina ngikwaziyo ngangimtshela ukuthi angizazi ibhamu.
What I know, which I told her, is that I know nothing about firearms, or I don't know firearms.
Let us not use parables, Mr. Twala. Let us be precise in what we're saying. What exactly, in what context, what exactly did Ms. Steenkamp say about this revolver? You said she made mention of a revolver. What did she say about this revolver? Let's take out the AK-47s and all other firearms. What exactly did she say about this revolver?
Asiyeke ezinye ibhamu lezo eshilo kama AK kodwa yini ke awayeyisho nanjengoba usho ukuthi ke yakuyigama wayelisebenzisa vele yena wayelisebenzisa ethini ngayo irevolver.
Angeke ngize ngisakhumbula ukuthi wayekhuluma ethini ngerevolver.
I won't be able to remember.
Ngoba engikuchazela kona ufuna ukudispute ngithi so angeke ngize akukho okuzodlula lokho ke.
Because you are disputing what I'm saying, so nothing will be above that. Because I won't be able to remember exactly as to what it is that she was saying about the revolver.
Ngiyacabanga ukuthi mhlambe yena ke usengeza ke mhlambe yena achaze ke yena ukuthi wayengichazela kanjani.
I think that maybe she would then have to come and explain as to how she said it to me.
Before she comes, Mr. Twala, we need to get your vision. Understand, you are the one who is saying Ms. Steenkamp, in the course of the interview that she had with you, is the one who mentioned a revolver. Now, I want to know from you, in what context, what is it that you are saying about the revolver? How did she use the word revolver in the context of the interview that she had with you? What did she say was wrong with this revolver?
Wayethi yini wrong ngale revolver?
Njengoba ngisho ukuthi angisakhumbuli kahle ukuthi sit down yami nayo uMrs Steenkamp yayithini. Engikushoyo ngoba wena ungibuze ngegama le revolver. Ngathi igama le revolver lalimention nawo yena ngoba engichazela ngizothini inhlobo zezibhamu ngoba ngangimtshenela ukuthi angizazi ibhamu mina. So obviously igama le revolver lasuka lapho. He has a making mention kuwena ukuthi wayesho ukuthi is a revolver, is it an AK, is it what? So angazi ukuthi mina igama le revolver ke lingena kanjani ke lapho yazalibhala statement kodwa yena walisha igama le revolver kumina.
I don't know as to how my sit down was with her, but as you were asking me and you made mention of the word revolver, yes. I was then explaining that she was then asking about or mentioning the different types of firearms. So I don't know as to how the word of the revolver then came in trying to clarify or find out to me the weapon that was used.
Hence ngisho ukuthi mhlawumbe yena mayesefika ke yena uyoclarify lokho ngoba nami ngiyasho ukuthi sengikhohliwe kangangeke ngize ngikhumbule yonke into. But ke ngiyazama ngayo yonke indlela ukuthi ngikuphendule lo mbuzo.
And I'm saying that when she comes, she will then clarify because I won't be able to remember everything and I'm trying to answer that question.
You're saying that the word revolver, she's the one who actually introduced it in the context of your conversation. Do I understand you? Well in that regard.
Uthi uyena owalisebenzisa lelo gama kuyinkulumo enani nayo.
Yebo, ngiyakusho lokho.
I can say that.
Njengomuntu ozaziyo yena ibhamu.
As someone who's familiar with firearms.
When she introduced it, what is it that she wanted to try and find out from you when she introduced this word revolver?
Umesebenzisa lelo gama ethi revolver kwakuyini awayenesifiso sokuyazi kuwena uma ngaba eveza lelo gama le revolver?
Muhle lo mbuzo kodwa ubuza umuntu wrong kufanele ubuze yena.
That's a good question but you're asking it to the wrong person. You can maybe put it to her.
Ukuthi yini la ifuna ukuyisho njengoba usho ukuthi what was she trying to,
as you are saying, as to what it is that she was trying to establish.
You're saying you consistently kept on telling her that you do not know the types of firearm. All that you know is that this person who was the first intruder had a firearm. Is that what you're saying?
Ubuqhubeka njalo nje usho kuyena ukuthi inhlobo zezibhamu uzazi kodwa kwazi ukuthi lo woqala wangena wayephethe isibhamu.
Yebo.
Yes.
And yet, despite that explanation of yours, she went on to write here that in terms of in terms of what the first suspect had in his possession, you said he had an old revolver. Despite the explanation that you said no, you can't actually describe the type of firearm that the suspect had in his possession. Not so.
Kodwa ke noma kunjalo ukushilo wena lokho ukushilo kodwa yena umebhala phansi ubhala irevolver endala.
Old revolver. njengoba usho nje no. Yes.
As you say, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Twala. I'm putting it to you, Mr. Twala, that there's no way in which a person who could not have been in the house on that day in question would simply assume or thumbsuck information and put it in such an important document. You are the one who told him, her. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Jonas.
Akwenzeki-ke noma angeke kwenzekeke ukuthi umuntu owayengekho endlini angabhala phansi lento ayibhalileke noma ayincele esithupheni ukuthi abhale lokho akubhalile kodwa yena-ke kwakuwumuntu owayengekho endlini without.
I'm putting it to you that all the information that is contained in this so important document is information that she got from you.
Konke lokho akubhalileke kuleya document ayiphetheke uadvocate Mnisi ukuthi information le awayithola kuwena.
Engakusho ukuthi kona kulokho angeke uzusho ukuthi umuntu wayengekho endlini lapha akazi ukuthi orubhale into ayibhalile ngoba bakhona babengekho endlini kodwa bakhuluma izinto ezazingekho abafuna nami ngivuma izinto ezazingekho.
What you are saying now is that there is no way or it is impossible for someone who was not in the house could have written that, but there are people who were in the house who are saying sorry, my apologies, who were not in the house, who are saying their own things, who want me to admit to things that they say yet they were not in the house.
Hence Mr. Steenkamp engikushoyo ukuthi mhlambe yena uzoza ukuthi azoclarify ezinye izinto ngoba nje bengisho ukuthi okunye angisakukhumbuli osasikukhuluma lapha angimphikisi angiphiki nami kodwa ngakho ngithi naye uzoza azoclarisha lezi zinto eyishoyo zama revolver nantontoni.
As I'm saying that then Mrs. Steenkamp will then come to court and clarify the issues that you are mentioning about the revolvers and what. I am not disputing it or saying what, but hence I'm saying that she would come and clarify those things.
Now, Mr. Twala, I don't want us to go around in circles. Now, just now you're saying you're not disputing what she's saying. Do I understand you well, that you don't dispute what she's saying?
Kodwa ukuthi ke manje uthi awungeke ke umphikise noma uthinike
ngiphendula
okay yep
ngiphendula from lento content yento oyishoyo wena yokuthi uthi umuntu wayengekho endlini angafike abhale into engekho. That's why ngiqale ngakutshela ukuthi bakhona ababengekho endlini ababefuna mina personally ngivuma izinto ezazingekho.
I am answering that based on the context of what you've just said to me, which is then why I am saying that there are people who were not in the house yet wanted me to admit to things.
Hence ngisho ukuthi Mrs. Steenkamp ngiyacela ke nami ukuthi ayizele la enkantolo uzofika clarify ngoba ngithi nganginayo sobabili. So mina lokho engikushoyo makuthi awukuzwa wena uzoza lokho akushoyo ke yena ke esela enkantolo.
Hence I am then making this request that maybe Ms. Steenkamp should come and then clarify. Isn't it that you don't get or take what I am saying? Maybe you will then understand or accept what she is saying or she would be saying.
When it comes to legality revolve, obviously you are a defense, so you understand.
When it comes to the word revolver, because clearly you are a defense, I understand.
No, as I'm standing here just for your information, I'm not a defense, I'm an officer of this court. I'm here to assist the court to come to a just and equitable finding in respect of this case. I'm not here to defend anything. I'm here as an officer of this court. But that was just for your own information. No, he says you must interpret that to him.
I understand.
No, I'm fine. Now, Mr. Twala, still on the issue of the revolver, I know what I'm going to put to you here. You're not privy to that information. But this is what is also happening. The investigating officer, Mr. Kininda, when he approached a magistrate to apply for a warrant of arrest against all these accused persons here,
yes, sir.
he penned or he submitted an affidavit, that is statement under oath, where he also says in that affidavit of his that one of the intruders, the gentleman who had dreadlocks, who had a firearm in his possession when he got into the house, had a revolver in his possession.
Lana ke ukutshela ke ngalokho okwenziwa uyena ke umseshi noma umphenyi ke waleli cala uGininda noma ke uBrigadier Gininda wathi uma eseya kwimantshi noma ke eyobona imantshi eyokwenza ke isicelo salokhu ke abathi warrant of arrest ukugunyaziswa ke ukuboshwa kwabo abasolwa bonke laba abaphambi kwalenkantolo unencwadi ke efungelo lena abathi affidavit awayenza ke ethi ke omunye walabo abangena endlini lona owayenama dreadlocks futhi ke ephethe isibhamu wayephethe i-revolver mayokama yinto leyo ebhalwe kuleyo affidavit yakhe uBrigadier Gininda.
So as I've said, you might not be private. I'm sorry, my colleague.
To interrupt. Can perhaps counsel just produce that affidavit, show it to the witness and say in this paragraph this is what Gininda is saying, unlike, just making such a general statement. Scott, please.
Yes, Mr. Mnisi.
I'll do that, my lord.
When?
I'm going to do it now.
Oh, fine.
But I'm not so sure whether should I understand that objection as an insinuation that is not the case. Because from where I am seated and I understand the basis of this objection is that it could be that affidavit is not there, and it is an affidavit that was discovered to us by the state. I would expect the state to be privy to that information, but let me do it, my lord. Thank you. Where am I supposed to go? Does it please the court, my lord?
What's you say it was discovered, that affidavit?
Yes, it was discovered by the state.
Yeah, fine. What annexure is it?
I'm not so sure whether it's part of the annexures, my lord, but
How can you discover it if it's not?
My lord?
How can Mr. Baloyi discover it if he hasn't itemized it?
It's a statement, my lord. It's a content of the docket. It could not have been part of the exhibits, my lord, because it's the content of the document that was made available to us as we prepared for this trial, my lord. And I'm referring to A198, that's A198 of Foslores case. Foslores case 636-10 of 2014. I'm not so sure if my colleague has got that paper or it's correct information. Now on page, unfortunately this affidavit is not numbered, but I think it's on page number, it's 1, 2, 3. I think it's paragraph 3. Paragraph 3 is subdivided into semi-paragraphs. Specifically on subparagraph 3.3.
3.3.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Now he says, paragraph 3.3, my lord, he says, and I'm going to read it into the record, my lord. He says, the photos that were found on his cell phone memory showed him wearing the same clothing that were identified by witnesses on the day of the incident as the person carrying a revolver upon entering the house. This affidavit was commissioned on the 3rd of October 2020, and the commissioner being Batubakaye Belina Mohola, who is a sergeant, designation a police officer, and he was commissioned at Troya Sanaside Police Station.
I've listened. The question was, or the request was, show it.
Indeed, we are aware of that affidavit.
That's all.
We're just saying, just point out the relevant portions
That's
to the
it.
witness.
That was the request by Mr. Baloyi, that show the witness the affidavit.
I don't see any reason why should I show this witness an affidavit, madam.
Oh, you prefer
Is it not sufficient if I
Okay, fine.
if I've read the content of this affidavit into the record to why should it really be necessary for me to say, Mr. Witness, this is the affidavit, can you read? What if this witness does not even know how to read, my lord? Those who have not yet established this level of education, except for the fact that he was editing a book, he edited a book. But in essence, what I'm trying to say, my lord, is that what I'm putting to this witness is not information that I'm sucking.
No, fine. So you're not going to show the witness?
Yes.
Yeah, fine, no problem.
Yes. I'm then not so sure whether my colleague is happy now about the fact that Mr. Kininda said what I've put to this witness, because that was the gist. I'm not so sure if he's happy.
I thought,
As we indicated, the basis of the objection was that when you put a proposition to a witness, you show the witness the relevant portion for that witness to comment. That's all that we're asking.
As it is the court, my lord, I think to put this matter beyond doubt, which is actually the functionality of the state, to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt, may I, with the leave of court, show this witness the portion that I've referred to?
I thought both of you are officers of the court. You and Mr. Baloyi, and you are here to assist this court to establish the truth.
Excuse me, my lord.
I said, I thought both of you are officers of this court.
That's correct, my lord.
And you would agree how to go about establishing the truth, assisting the court.
Exactly, my lord. Which
Now,
is
I want to argue. I'm not going to show you. I'm going to read it.
yes, my lord. Which is the reason why.
And ultimately, you show him.
Yes. Which is the reason why, my lord, I'm a bit perturbed on the basis of the objection by the state, which is the reason why I actually indicated earlier on. Is it then suggested that the information that I'm putting to this witness is not correct?
Okay, Mr. Minister.
As it is the court, madam. Are you
Uthi
happy,
naye
sir?
ke leyakubonisa yena-ke noma akufundela yona iy'thombe ezatholakala kumakhalekhukhwini wakhe noma kwimemori yayo-ke zikhombisa yena-ke noma zimtshengisa egqoke iy'mpahla ekuyizona lezi-ke akhonjwa ngazo awofakazi ngalelo langa lesigameko nanjengomsolwa ephethe i-revolver nkathi engena endlini. Uthi istatement-ke sikaGininda lesi.
I know.
Should I reply?
Excuse me.
Should I reply?
As I've said, as I've said in my prelude, that you might not be privy to this information, because when Kininda penned that affidavit, you were not there. If you've got a comment, you can comment. If you don't have, you can simply say, I don't have a comment.
Nanjengoba wawungekho nkathi.
Comment uzoyizela yini uGininda?
Kininda will come himself, no comment.
Thank you, sir.
Kushi editor.
Says the editor.
My lord, I had indicated that I would only be having two questions. That is the end of my two questions.
Okay.
Thank you, my lord. I've got no further questions to this witness. Thank you, my lord.
Was it two?
Excuse me.
Yes.